admitting we've been conquered fraudulently. You got to admit you're a slave before you start becoming free. And let me tell you, the greatest honor I've ever had, the greatest treasure, even above my children, because they have no future if we don't win, is that God saw fit to take a wretch like me and to rise me up in all the things that happened in my life to prepare me for this moment of what we're beginning now. The bell cannot be unrung. To know with surety that we're going to win. If God be with us, who can stand against us? And it's time for everyone who's in thought and everything else to repent before God. I even repent for nasty things I've said about Glenn Beck. I should have responded to him more gentlemanly. I apologize for when he said bad things about me being worldly. We don't have time for this. We don't have time to fight with each other anymore. We don't have time for all this petty stuff. We have got to come together, all of us. So I repent for my trespasses. Do you repent for yours? All of my enemies out there, please come in for the big win. Please realize how much trouble we're in. Realize how much danger we're in. These globalists are dangerous. We have to get involved now. We have to get aggressive now. We have to go out and wake up everybody we can now. And then we come back in the next segment, his conclusion. You know, we've put, with this show, eugenics back on the map. We've put the fact that we're conquered on the map with that nomenclature. The truth. The truth will set us free. Admit how far we've fallen. Admit how pathetic we've gotten. Only then can we rise again. And Ron Paul is now getting more hardcore because that's all he can do. Now that Ron Paul's leaving Congress, now that his son's in the Senate, all this, Ron Paul, it's time to come out both barrels. I know you're a man after my own heart. I know you know what I know. Say it all. Lay it out. Throw yourself against the New World Order, and all of us will as well. And let all the rest of the Campaign for Liberty establishment types that have infiltrated, let them hit the streets. They're already getting their big Republican jobs. I know you've purged them. Good. Good. Because there is no future now. All in. Here's part of Ron Paul's speech. We'll go to break and finish up with the rest of it. Here he is saying some questions, and he lists the incredible tyranny we're under. Then I have some other points. Here it is.
I have a few questions. Excessive government has created such a mess, it prompts many questions. Why are sick people who use medical marijuana put in prison? Why does the federal government restrict the drinking of raw milk? Why can't American manufacturers rope and other products from hemp? Why are Americans not allowed to use gold and silver as legal tender as mandated by the Constitution? Why is Germany concerned enough to consider repatriating their gold held by the Fed for her in New York? Is it that the trust in the U.S. and dollar supremacy beginning to wane? Why do our political leaders believe it's necessary to thoroughly audit? Why do our political leaders believe it's unnecessary to thoroughly audit our own gold? Why can't Americans decide which type of light bulbs they can buy? Why is it the TSA permitted to abuse the rights of any American traveling by air? Why should there be mandatory sentences, even up to life, for crimes without victims, as our drug laws require? Why have we allowed the federal government to regulate commodes in our homes? Why is it political suicide for anyone to criticize AIPAC? Why haven't we given up on the drug war, since it's an obvious failure and violates the people's rights? Has nobody noticed that the authorities can't even keep drugs out of the prisons? How can making our entire society a prison solve the problem? Why do we sacrifice so much getting necessarily involved in border disputes and civil strife around the world and ignore the root cause of the most dangerous, deadly border in the world, the one between Mexico and the United States? Why does Congress willingly give up its prerogatives to the executive branch? Why does changing the party in power never change policy? Could it be that the views of both parties are essentially the same? Why did the big banks, the large corporations, and foreign banks and foreign central banks get bailed out in 2008, and the middle class lost their jobs and their homes? Why do so many in the government and the federal officials believe that creating money out of thin air creates wealth? Why do so many accept the deeply flawed principle that government bureaucrats and politicians can protect us from ourselves without totally destroying the principle of liberty? Why can't people understand that?
We're going to come back and finish up the why part of this, and then we're going to get to the most powerful. The whole thing, though, he says we have a cancerous group of psychopaths. That's a quote. Running things. I mean, he lays it all out. World government, we're conquered. It is unbelievable 49 minutes. And we're just going to cover it and cover it and cover it. Ron Paul is standing up. I mean, it's time to go 110% into the eye of the enemy.
Is it not, my king, time to spring the trap?
No, we must desecrate the soul and the flesh of the Creator's creation.
The chain of life broken forever. A monument to our beauty.
Come get me. The war has already begun. It's an info war. The enemy wants to make it physical. Strike me down. I'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine in the idea. I'm not going to live as a slave, okay? I mean, these globalists are nasty folks. These are eugenicists. They've got a covert war going against us, an undeclared secret war with the chemicals and biologicals in our food and water. We're far gone. We need to get back in their face. All of you people that serve the system, you're victims as well, you fools. We got a breakaway civilization of technocrats that think they're going to be able to take everything over. Man, we're in trouble. Why did large banks, large corporations, and foreign central banks get bailed out in 2008 and the middle class lost their jobs and their homes? Let's continue with this out the rest of this segment. Then coming up after Lew Rockwell and others, I'm gonna play about 5 minutes where he has his summation. And boy, he breaks down that we're under global government, unelected global government run by eugenicists. Let's go ahead and go back to his questions. Here it is.
Without totally destroying the principle of liberty. Why can't people understand that war always destroys wealth and liberty? Why is there so little concern for the executive order that gives the president authority to establish a kill list, including American citizens, of those targeted for assassination? Why is patriotism thought to be blind loyalty to the government and the politicians who run it, rather than loyalty to the principles of liberty and support for the people? Real patriotism is a willingness to challenge the government when it's wrong. Why is it claimed that if people won't or can't take care of their own needs, that people in government are able to do it for them? Why did we ever give the government a safe haven for initiating violence against the people? Why do so many members defend free markets but not civil liberties? Why do so many members defend civil liberties but not free markets? Aren't they the same? Why don't more defend both economic liberty and personal liberty? Why are there not more individuals who seek to intellectually influence others to bring about positive changes, those who seek changes, than those who seek power to force others to obey their commands? Why does the use of religion to support a social gospel and preemptive wars, both of which require authoritarians to use violence or the threat of violence, go unchallenged? Aggression and forced redistribution of wealth has nothing to do with the teachings of the world's great religions. Why do we allow the government and the Federal Reserve to disseminate false information dealing with both economic and foreign policy? Why is democracy held in such high esteem when it's the enemy of the minority and makes all rights relative to the dictates of the majority? Why should anyone be surprised that Congress has no credibility, since there's such a disconnect between what politicians say and what they do? Is there any explanation for all the deception, the unhappiness, the fear of the future, the loss of confidence in our leaders,
Yes.
the distrust and the anger
There
and
is.
frustration?
Because we're under great
Yes,
evil.
there is. And there's a way
All
to
right, we're
reverse
gonna go to
these
break.
attitudes.
When we come back,
Perceptions are logical.
we are going to have Lew Rockwell on. No, actually, we have Porter Stansbury on to break down what's happening in the economy, then Lew Rockwell. But I will continue with clips from this as well, even when Lew Rockwell's on with us. Here's the deal, folks. We're going into total bondage. It's pre-planned, and Ron Paul talks about that in his speech as well.